So, one of my biggest fears about leaving the European Union is that we are led by a party that have constantly said they want to get rid of human rights. Now, I know I brought this up 100 times before, and I'm going to keep bringing this up because it's bloody important. I keep saying that the Conservatives will get rid of human rights because that's what they keep saying. Theresa May, Dominic Raab, they all have appalling track records of human rights voting, and they have publicly said numerous times that they want to get rid of human rights. Now, Theresa May dresses this up saying, oh, well, we can't get rid of Muslim terrorists because of human rights. Not true at all, and the moronic excuse that she brought up, she was publicly called out for years ago when she said we couldn't deport a terrorist because he had a cat. He was deported. I honestly don't know the fate of the cat, but it was bullshit. Having a cat does not mean we won't deport a terrorist. There are legal procedures we have to go through. We are still a country of laws, remember. But back to the topic at hand. This government, Theresa May's government, is the same government that argued in court last year that disabled people shouldn't have human rights. So, leaving the protections of the European Court of Justice, of course, a Conservative government is going to get rid of human rights. This article states, Tory government votes not to retain European Human Rights Charter in UK law after Brexit. Now, as I've said before, there are a number of laws we have in this country that protect you and me that aren't actually UK laws. They are European laws. They are under the European Court of Justice. We are seriously going to miss them when they're gone. And it's going to leave massive holes in the books. And it's also going to leave, believe it or not, it's going to lead to a lot of jobs going in the UK, because it means these legal professionals, well, they won't have a job because the law would have changed, and it does get a bit convoluted. But again, Brexit costing jobs because that's what we voted for. This article states, MPs have voted against including European Charter of Fundamental Rights in UK law after Brexit. A Labour amendment tabled in the name of Jeremy Corbyn sought to retain the provisions in the Charter, but was voted down by 317 votes to 299. Love a list of politicians who voted against keeping human rights, but I'm pretty sure I could name the top ones I'd be interested in without that list. The Charter includes a wide range of basic provisions, including right to a private life, freedom of speech, equality provisions, and employment rights governing how workers are treated. These are just very, very basic ones, and these are the ones that won't go overnight, but they will go. Now, as I've said before, I work in care. And the most common abuse that happens in care is actually not to the people that we look after, it's to us, it's to the staff. Now, from the service users, we expect it, sure. But we also get abused by the companies. I can name 3 people off the top of my head. I won't, obviously, but I can name 3 people who have just finished 14-hour shifts back to back. And couple of them had to do sleep-ins, so they didn't actually leave the care home at all. And this is not a random thing. It's not a random occurrence. There are hundreds of horror stories that I've picked up in my relatively short time of just 7 years working in care. People who have worked in care longer than me have far worse, because companies do treat you like a piece of shit. And yet still, I work for one of the better companies out there, and I still have horror stories about this company. I've worked in factories. You think a factory cares if you drop dead? I mean, hell, the first factory I worked in, the only thing that this factory actually did with a loss of life at work was put a little plaque in the canteen. Nothing actually changed. They just put a plaque in the canteen. If corporations and companies don't have to treat you with respect, they will not treat you with respect. Look at America. Look at how people in the Amazon factories have to work. They piss in bottles because they're too afraid to go to the toilet because they'll get reprimanded if they take too long. It's a horror story. It's happening in America, and it will happen here because this government, conservatives, do not like human rights. Even people like Esther McVeigh, who try to champion this new wave of blue-collar conservatives, conservatism for the working man. Well, it's still bullshit because she and everyone who's supporting this have voted against everything that actually helps people. They voted against the interests of the public over and over again, and conservatives, in my opinion, are incredibly anti-British because they want to get rid of human rights, because they want to get rid of workers' rights. And now we have the confirmation. This has already happened. If and when we leave the European Union, and I do think we will leave the European Union in October, well, that's it. They're gone. And once they're gone, they're not coming back. The biggest fear I had about Brexit is come to pass. But it's what we voted for, isn't it? To lose our rights, to lose our control over borders, to lose our control over fisheries, to lose our control over trade, to lose our control over imports and exports, to lose our control to America, because now America are dictating everything that we do, especially when Boris gets into number 10. And all the while a lot of Remainers have said there are serious issues and they need to be resolved, Brexiteers have just been screaming Project Fear. Well, this vote took place. Our members of parliament voted not to have human rights.